Have you ever really thought about what your favorite song is worth? And I don't mean emotionally. I mean, what's its literal price tag? Because right now, something wild is happening. Wall Street is spending billions with a B to buy the rights to the songs that we all grew up with. We're talking everything from classic rock anthems to today's biggest pop hits. So let's break down how this music gold rush is even possible. Yeah, this is a phenomenon that's been quietly reshaping the entire music industry. You've got these huge financial giants, private equity firms, even pension funds, all in a race to own the music you stream, the songs you hear on the radio, and the tracks you hear in movies. But, it begs a pretty simple question.
Right. Why this? And why now? What exactly changed to make these songbooks so incredibly valuable all of a sudden? Well, to really get it, you first have to grasp the sheer scale of the money we're talking about. These are not small numbers. These are industry-defining figures.
Let's just start with the boss, Bruce Springsteen. In 2021, Sony Music bought his entire life's work, everything, his recordings, his songwriting, for an estimated $500 million. It's one of the biggest deals ever for a single artist.
And it doesn't stop there. Think about Bob Dylan. Universal Music scooped up his songwriting catalog. That's over 600 songs, for a price tag that's reportedly close to $400 million. And get this, that's just for the lyrics and melodies, the actual DNA of the songs.
Unless you think this is just for the classic rock legends, nope, it spans generations. In 2023, Justin Bieber sold his catalog rights for a reported $200 million. So what on earth are these investors actually buying for all that cash?
It's not what you think. They're not buying a warehouse full of vinyl records or old master tapes. No, they're buying a really complex bundle of intellectual property rights. To understand the gold rush, you gotta understand the anatomy of a song.
So every single song basically has two parts, two main copyrights. First, you've got the publishing rights. That's for the song itself, the melody, the lyrics. Think of it like the architectural blueprint for the song. Then you have the master rights. That's for a specific recording of that song, the version you actually hear. The blueprint and the final house are two totally separate assets, and guess what? Both make money.
And they make money through something called royalties. So every time a song is streamed on Spotify or sold, boom, that's a mechanical royalty. When it gets played on the radio or in a bar, that's a performance royalty. And here's the big one. When it's used in a movie, a TV show, or an ad, that's called a sync royalty, and those can be worth a fortune. It's this steady, reliable flow of cash that's so attractive.
But here's the crazy part. Those royalty streams, they weren't always so reliable. In fact, for a while there, it looked like they might disappear completely. To really understand why Wall Street is so hot on this now, we have to rewind and look at how the music industry almost imploded and then pulled off an incredible comeback.
This timeline shows a total revolution. Remember the late 90s? Napster, LimeWire, it was the Wild West, and piracy was just crushing CD sales. It felt like music was becoming worthless. Then along came iTunes, which at least gave us a legal way to buy digital songs. But the real game changer? Streaming. Platforms like Spotify and Apple Music turned millions of us into subscribers, paying a little bit every month. And just like that, the industry went from chaos to a predictable, global cash flow.
And that word right there, predictable, that's the word that got Wall Street to sit up and pay very close attention. It's what turned these old songs into a new kind of gold.
For an investor, a hit song catalog is pretty much the perfect asset. It kicks off a predictable, long-term stream of cash, almost like a bond. It can also be a great hedge against inflation, because subscription prices can go up. And there's still a ton of room for growth. But maybe its most powerful superpower is this. Music has what they call a low correlation to the stock market, which is just a fancy way of saying music doesn't really care if the economy is good or bad. Think about it. When times get tough, people don't stop listening to music. In fact, during the 2008 financial crisis and the 2020 lockdowns, streaming numbers actually went up. That makes it an incredibly stable asset to have in your portfolio.
And this chart just paints the picture perfectly. Look at the stock market. It's a total roller coaster, right? Even bonds have their ups and downs. But then look at music royalties. It is just remarkably steady. That consistency is like the holy grail for big money investors who are just looking for a safe place to put their cash.
Of course, for any of this to happen, an artist has to make the call to sell their life's work. And that's got to be a deeply personal, incredibly complex decision. You're basically weighing your entire creative legacy against a massive, life-altering payday.
I mean, on the one hand, you sell and boom, you get a huge check. It provides immediate financial security, makes planning your estate for your family way easier, and it takes away the risk of your songs falling out of fashion. But, and this is a huge but, you give up control. Those songs are like your kids, and suddenly they could end up in a commercial for a product you hate. It's the ultimate trade-off, control versus capital.
So where does this all go from here? Is this whole thing a massive bubble that's just waiting to pop? Or is this just the new normal for how we value music?
Well, there are a few key things to watch. Rising interest rates make it more expensive to borrow the huge sums of money needed for these deals, so that could definitely cool things down. On the other hand, new tech like AI and the metaverse could unlock totally new ways for songs to make money. But the whole thing really hinges on this one core belief, the evergreen thesis, the idea that a truly great song will just always find an audience and always be valuable, no matter what.
Which leaves us with one final fascinating question to chew on. This gold rush has officially turned our favorite melodies into a sophisticated financial asset traded like any other commodity. And in a way, that's an amazing testament to the economic power of great art. But as our cultural touchstones get bundled up and sold on the open market, you have to wonder, what does that mean for the soul of the music itself?